over a year ago, we warned you here on this show of a massive false flag operation that was coming. They would use a large-scale UFO invasion, some sort of weird distraction, UFOs, something, in order to carry this out. Multiple sources on our show, live guests on our show, warning us about that this was coming. In fact, we spoke to sources in September that told us this would start in the days following the election. Yeah, I talked about this in September with some sources who said, these sources, by the way, who were read into the program, they were right. This started happening right after the election. I mean, it was unbelievable. I was sitting there saying, here we go. Now we're starting to see all these drone sightings. Yep, they were correct about this. And last year, we spoke to a former FBI agent who was in charge of what was really known as the FBI's X-Files. They warned us that a fake alien invasion would be taking place. They warned us that a cover-up was this was for something larger. So you can actually go and seek that interview out. We have it right here on the channel. It's about a year old at this point. So we've been hearing about this operation for almost a year now, and now that moment is here. So what exactly are all these UFOs, all of these drones doing in the sky? It appears to be coming to a head before President Trump takes office. So he was just asked about this 2 hours ago, and he said our government knows exactly where these are coming from.
First of all, good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey and the ports? And it seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people, and they should, because the people are really, I mean, they happen to be over Bedminster. Want to know the truth? They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided to cancel my trip.
Yeah,
maybe I won't go there.
Over the president's house.
Yeah.
Okay. And we don't know. And the Pentagon is this afternoon, denying that they're military, saying, no, we're doubling down. We don't know what these are. These are not U.S. military. Absolutely lying to us. I mean, absolutely lying to us. So what would cause widespread panic and force us into like a new round of lockdowns? Well, force NORAD, to take over operational control of the United States following the continuity of government, of course, instead of, force us into martial law. Of course, the head of NORAD would become the de facto president of the United States. Well, what could do that? Perhaps a missing nuclear or biological weapon that was let loose in the United States. That seems to be what's going on here today. Everyone, including local, state, and federal authorities, is desperately searching for answers as to what all of these drones are right now. There's been a notable lack of disclosure about any of it regarding what's actually happening in the skies above New Jersey, one of the most restricted airspaces in the world, by the way. In the world. Drone experts are now coming out saying there's like no reason for drones to be flying at night. They're not meant to fly at night. They can't see at night. The only reason they would need to fly at night is because if they were equipped with some sort of radioactive material detectors. And they're looking for something. They're looking for perhaps a dirty bomb or radioactive material, missing nuclear warhead. Well, that's what they'll tell us anyway, right? They'll tell us something like that in order to distract us from what's really going on. So we now know, according to information that was just posted, that on December 2nd, the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission disclosed that a medical device containing radioactive material was lost in transit in New Jersey. What? Essentially a dirty bomb or a small dirty bomb is missing? Okay. The event notification report, as published here in Zero Hedge with the manifest, shows that this thing has been lost in transit. The shipping container arrived at its destination damaged and empty. Oh, we've lost some radioactive material. The licensee has filed a claim with the shipper. If the source is not located within 30 days, the licensee will follow up with a full written report as to include the root causes and corrective actions. The email from the Cancer Center located in Newfield continued. Now, Zero Hedge writes, one theory points to drones equipped with payload sensors designed to be detecting direct radioactive material right now. Okay, given ongoing and heightened threat of Al-Qaeda on the East Coast, others believe this could be part of a large psyop, according to Zero Hedge, aimed at pushing through new drone legislation in Washington, D.C., so that we wouldn't be able to use individual drones anymore, that it would be massive military or commercial grade drones and massive new legislation that would prevent us from doing that. Of course, other people saying, oh, it could be Iranian or Chinese operators in order to like create mass hysteria in the United States.
Even Fox News said, well, this sounds like the Chinese spy balloon, where they didn't knock it down until after it had already collected all kinds of data for the Chinese government. They're still saying that, even though that's been widely debunked.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, they're continuing with that story about China and Iran. And we would know specifically all of these craft. We would know about an Iranian ship or any of that off the coast of the United States. We would know with pinpoint accuracy. We watch the transports of everything in Iran. We would know that there's a giant mothership off the coast of the United States. It's ridiculous. Even the Washington Post... Go ahead.
Sorry, just real quick, that like the idea that like if the government comes out and says, well, this is Chinese, this is Iranian, they're basically saying like we are completely incompetent. So that they can't do, like it can't be that because you know, like that would, there's like yeah, they can sneak up on us and we can't do anything about it. Like, for real.
I mean, it's impossible. We know exactly where they are. Right. So the idea that a massive mothership is just sitting off the coast of New Jersey, like it's you know, it's ridiculous, off of like the Jersey Shore. So even Josh Rogan, who is the Washington Post, writes for the Washington Post. So the Washington Post saying this, Josh Rogan posted this: if these are really Defense Department drones doing radiation sniffing for possible dirty bombs, one could understand why they wouldn't want to admit that and panic people. But at this point, the lack of disclosure is damaging public trust. Time to come clean.
Word. The
Washington Post. I spoke to Ashton Forbes just a few minutes ago. Ashton Forbes is a physicist and an investigator, and deeply connected to the study of the disappearance of Malaysian flight MH370. And he says, you know, that he has a theory, at least on this drone piece, and he thinks that it makes sense that these would be out at night in some sort of a mesh to try to stop maybe perhaps an incoming hypersonic missile, if that was perhaps one of the reasons. But take a listen to his assessment of these potential drone sightings.
So we know that we've got full motion video coverage of the entire planet. This was actually admitted to in the UFO hearing just a month ago by both Michael Schellenberger and Tim Gallaudet. So we know what these drones are. Maybe the FBI doesn't know because they don't have access to that information, but the NRO, the CIA, the NSA, the NGA, these organizations know exactly what these drones are. So the question is, why are they lying to us about them? And I also think that drones has become the code word for UFOs now as well, which should make us wonder, what are these things flying around? Is there even somebody inside of some of these UFOs that we're seeing? Is that even a requirement? The theory that I kind of like the best, and also I just want to point out that Congress is apparently getting a classified briefing about these drones that are flying around as well. So if there was nothing there, why would they be getting a classified briefing about it? And some of the sightings have indicated that they are transmedium, that they might be coming out of the water. In other cases, they've been saying that they're not giving off any signals or any frequencies, which I'm not really sure what that means. But these could be some of the observables that we see in UFOs. Now, the flip side of it is there is mass hysteria going on right now. We've reached a point now where this is like, it's a self-perpetuating thing where people are now just misidentifying planes and other stuff. And they're claiming that they are, you know, these UFOs or drones when they probably aren't. So there's a lot of mud in the water that's making it very difficult to sift through. The only way we could really get forward on an answer is if we were to get high quality, like military or intelligence grade, like infrared footage of one of these things where we could actually analyze it. And I think the likelihood of that is slim. Now, my personal theory that I like, that Clint Russell and I were talking about just a couple of days ago, was this idea that, like, what if these are some type of defense mechanism, like a mesh network, like a fence, essentially, that is set up, ready to intercept some type of hypersonic weapon, either coming from outer space or coming from like a submarine off the coast or somewhere else, where seconds matter. And even the deployment time would make it less likely that you'd be able to intercept an incoming ICBM or something like that. That would actually make sense in terms of why the local governments have no idea what's going on. And it would make sense in terms of why the federal government would not be able to speak about it and potentially do a classified briefing.
But then what's the plan, though? Like, they had no plan to answer what would inevitably be questions if that were the case, that it's some kind of classified defense test. That's what he's saying.
Right.
Right. And then did they have any plan in place when people started noticing and asking questions?
Yeah, and that's the question, right? And some are suggesting, oh, this is, Project Bluebeam, right, which aims to, claims global elites, of course, are going to fake a large-scale invasion, large-scale alien invasion into instill a new world order. Mm-hmm. I know that, Alex Jones has been talking about that. I don't know exactly the new world order piece of this, but certainly a lockdown and a martial law strategy ahead of President Trump taking office would not be out of the question. Certainly they've tried to assassinate him. So once you have like assassination on the table, and that's already been attempted multiple times.
Sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit, really, at this point. But of course, the real focus is now around these nuclear weapons and the missing Ukrainian nukes that Americans apparently have their hands on and potentially have gone lost. So where are these nuclear weapons? Where are these nuclear warheads after the fall of the Soviet Union that the United States apparently has their hands on? So is that what they're looking for? Are they looking for a nuclear weapon right now? Again, President Trump is right. They know exactly what's going on. The Pentagon is stonewalling on this issue. And meanwhile, they all think we're stupid, that what we're seeing in the air, in the sky, are airplanes. Here's failed Representative Adam Kinzinger, douchebag Adam Kinzinger, who says, these are not drones. These are not UFOs. Everyone, you're all idiots. These are all just airplanes. He's analyzed every video. Watch.
What I'm hearing from FBI is, we don't see a threat here. And look, honestly, every video I've seen, and I've spent the last couple of days looking at every one of these videos, every video I have seen on Twitter or on the internet are all airplanes. They're literally all airplanes. Some of them will show an airplane that's kind of stable out there and says that's a drone. And actually, it's an airplane flying towards you at 30,000 feet. And I can see the lighting on it. And if there are drones out there, by the way, and if any of these pictures that they have shown are actual drones, these drones then are complying with FAA lighting requirements, a green on the right, a red on the left with a strobe. And so it's not Iran, it's not aliens if there are drones. My guess is if there are drones, again, because again, all I've seen are airplanes, then it is more than likely some company that's out testing drones or something like that and has no requirement to tell the public that they're doing it because they're actually operating these things legally. There have been no accusations of illegal operations. By the way, as a pilot myself, I can fly over a military base whenever I want. Those restrictions don't exist. So I think there's a lot of mass hysteria, and I've heard stories of people pointing lasers at these quote-unquote drones, and then the drones' lights go off. Actually, let's be clear. I've been lased as a pilot before. You're supposed to turn off all your lights once you get lased so that they can't find you because it can actually damage your eyes.
Right.
So, yeah, I think
Yeah. So how does he then account for, you can just fly over military bases? So drones, now we have reports out of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio that drones force the airspace blockage there for multiple hours at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So, okay.
Also, is it very responsible to encourage people to be doing that?
Yeah. So everyone get out your lasers, I guess, now.
Or even civilian pilots. Like, hey, you can just go fly right over military bases. That's cool.
Well, I don't know. We're going to continue on the story. I'm stunned that we've had whistleblowers, we've had individuals on our show who've been predicting this for months, and now it's here. And so, conspiracy knowers, not conspiracy theorists. Like,
well, yes, we have the shirt.
I feel like in general, people have kind of forgotten that a lot of this started in the UK. Is when this entire thing started. It was around bases in the UK. So it's not just
right near Rendlesham Forest, the famous Rendlesham Forest case in the early 1980s. Go back and research it. And U.S. airmen who were there with UK airmen at the Royal Air Force Base there, and what happened at Rendlesham Forest. So that's where like a lot of this began. But yeah, it's mostly just focused on New Jersey at this point. But Well, I don't know. The President-elect Trump takes office on January 20th. And so all of this is happening conveniently right before then. So, and I think, DC Drano posted, the timing of this seems very, very strange. Mm-hmm. Like it feels like some sort of a massive psyop, some sort of a massive false flag. Something is going on. And I don't think we have the answers to it just yet, as some may claim they do, but I don't think we do.
Right. I mean, it doesn't seem like Adam Kinzinger did a lot of study for that piece on CNN. He's just spitballing.
He watched a lot of videos. He watched every video.
He watched every one.
That's all he did all weekend.
Okay.
And then he cried about it.
All right. Well, last week we showed you this fake CNN video of Clarissa Ward rescuing a Syrian prisoner who was freed from a Syrian prison. We're guessing that it's fake based on many different data points. And CNN now has been forced to admit that it was a bit of a sham, and the man that they reportedly rescued was what they call now a regime torturer. Way to go. Way to go. As a reminder, here's the video that they posted as if they were rescuing someone from what they called the Assad regime. People were quick to point out many flaws, such as this man looks well fed and groomed for having been in prison for 3 months in this jail cell under a sleeping bag. I'm just going to play a little bit of it for you. We're not going to watch the whole minute and 47. But here they are like, ooh, someone here? What's going on? So let's just watch a little bit and we'll stop because it's...
I can't tell though. It might just be a blanket, but it's the only cell that's locked. Is he gonna shoot it?
The guard
gotta shoot the lock
turn
off.
The camera off while he shoots the lock off the cell door. We go in to get a closer look. It's still not clear
oh my
if
God.
there is something under the blanket.
Is there a man under that blanket?
Is there someone there?
And he didn't hear the gunshot echoing through a cement building where we just shot a lock off?
He's napping.
He's just napping. Like, I'm a light sleeper, but I think a gunshot reverberating through there. It's like a gun range. Oh, maybe he's wearing protective percussion.
Shoot it. Yeah, point a gun at him because let's see.
There's a man under here. It's okay. I'm fine. I'm fine. Well fed.
Civilian, he says. I'm a civilian.
Yeah. And then they go outside and he looks right up at the sun. Yeah. Oh my God, she's so...
He's from the city of Humps and has been in the cell for 3 months. Okay, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay.
Okay, also, her bio, let's go ahead and... so then she's like, let's take him outside. Let's get him some water. Does anyone have water? Her bio says she speaks Arabic, but she does not bother to speak to him in any kind of Arabic at all.
No, it's got to be English for an American audience.
Right, but if you, who does she care about then? Like, she's trying to tell this guy, you're okay, and then she tells the translator to tell him that she can't tell the
yeah, it's all performance.
But am I the only one that noticed that? Like, so they shot the lock off of like that sort of back room of like cells, but his cell was wide open. That is not standard practice for. Why is the guy still in his cell when the door is wide open?
It's literally like the minions who just walk through when they say, let's leave the jail. And then they just walk through.
They just turn sideways and they just squeeze right through. And they're like, oh, I could have gotten out of here the whole time?
Right.
I just love this so much.
Now, we've seen her sort of stage these attacks before, or these, dramatic news pieces, such as this one when she was said she was under fire in Israel after the war in Gaza began. We'll watch just a tiny bit of this as well.
Clarissa is on the ground right now. Clarissa, tell us what's happening.
Stand by.
Hi, John. So forgive me, I have a slightly unelegant position, but we have just had a massive barrage of rockets coming in here, not too far from us. So we have had to take shelter here by the roadside.
Okay, so it was, we'll go ahead and stop that. It was later reported that not so far from us was doing some heavy lifting in that sentence.
Yeah.
So the community notes took that Syrian prisoner video and they just handled it, and I loved watching it. But then also an independent fact checker named Verify did some real journalism as well, and they found out this rescued Syrian prisoner was in fact a first lieutenant in the Syrian Air Force intelligence with a long rap sheet of alleged crimes. They say his name is Salama Mohammed Salama, known as Abu Hamza, and he is a first lieutenant in the Air Force, notorious for his activities such as frequently being stationed at checkpoints in the area, in an area that was infamous for civilian abuses. He reportedly managed several of these checkpoints and was involved in theft, extortion, coercing residents into becoming informants. And he has only been there for less than a month, according to locals. So, and, you know, when you look at this, you think of, that's actually kind of racist the way they pulled this off. They just thought any old Arabic looking guy would do. Like, oh, those Arabs, they're savages. Nobody will know who this guy really is. As if they don't have access to the internet or any kind of research, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, that's arrogant. Here is what CNN now says to the New York Post when they were asked about this. They said, we have subsequently been investigating his background and we're aware he may have given us a false identity. We're continuing our reporting into this and the wider story. But they still maintain that this was not staged.
Right.
Sure, it wasn't. And they really did find him there. Here's what they told the Post. They say, that CNN denies allegations that the piece was fabricated. No one other than the CNN team was aware of our plans to visit the prison building featured in our report that day. The events transpired as they appear in our film.
Right.
So you can just march into these, prisons now, is what they say, even though Al-Qaeda is in charge in Syria, but they were just like, we happened upon it. We woke up that day and said, where should we go? Should we check out the local prison, see if anyone's still there? So, okay, they're investigating though. So it's still up on her profile. The comments are gold. When other CNN anchors like Caitlin Collins have also retweeted it, those comments are super fun. I encourage you to watch on X.
Well, I love that these CNN anchors, like Caitlin Collins, posted that report. She's like, this is incredible.
That's what she said.
And then I responded on Twitter.
Yeah, and Clayton says Oscar worthy. Actually,
Oscar worthy, incredible, really.
Right.
I just want to know. I want to know who they're gonna get to fake eyewitness to when they're investigating themselves. Like, who are they going to interview for that?
Right.
We went into a CNN office and there was an intern that's been locked in here for 4 months.
Uh-huh.
I can't believe the sunlight outside. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's wild. So, okay, they'll investigate themselves and we'll see. Well, the rest of us are like, that doesn't seem quite so right. So it doesn't help with the plummeting confidence in the legacy media now, does it?
We have to tell you about a huge scam right now that's happening across the United States, house stealing. The FBI says this is one of the largest and growing scams in the United States, where scammers access your home's equity. America is sitting on trillions of dollars in home equity right now. Many of you have a home that has a lot of equity in your home. Well, what if you went to bed and then you woke up and found the title to your home had been taken from you? This is happening all across the country. And the scariest part is you won't even find out about it until unpaid loan bills or foreclosure notices start arriving in your mailbox. But by then the damage has already been done and you're left with a legal or financial nightmare to deal with. Yes, people stealing the title of your home. And all they have to do, they have to get a simple notary and then submit that to the county. And that's how these scammers are doing it. And you won't even know about it. And that's where our friends at Home Title Lock comes in. Now, I am a customer of Home Title Lock. I think this is vital for every American. It's a small price to pay for you to get your home title protected by Home Title Lock. And the best part is you can get a 30-day free trial. Just right now, 30-day free trial. Well, they were actually scanned to see if your title is safe and make sure that you have triple lock protection. And they will give you a complimentary title history of your home. All you have to do is go to hometitlelock.com/redacted. Click on the link in the description box. Again, this is hometitlelock.com, promo code redacted. You really want to protect yourself, and that's why we protect our home with Home Title Lock as well. Will Kamala Harris run for governor of California, or will she run for president in 2028? That, my friends, is the question that is vexing Democrats today. Harris is debating her future, according to multiple reports. Lots of buzz and a bit of drama inside of the Kamala Harris's inner circle about whether she should head back to California and run for governor in 2026. Now, the big question on the table, though, is does she focus on making a play for the presidency in 2028 or governor in 2026 and just focus on running for governor of California? A gig, let's be honest, feels a bit more in her reach and likely to win. very liberal state. And I think they probably, if you're in California, they probably love her.
Oh my God. I mean,
but think about it.
Only those that have no critical thought skills. I mean, most of them would think, could we possibly do worse than Gavin Newsom? Yes, you could.
Yeah, you could actually.
Absolutely could.
Because after all, the destruction of California can be traced directly to Kamala Harris. That's not hyperbole. She's responsible for the law that decriminalized theft. Yes, she made theft legal, for crying out loud. So her hands are all over the collapse of California. So you know that's why you had such a rise in theft. Was it under like $900 or over $900 or something like that?
I don't remember the details.
The exact numbers, but yeah, those are now, you don't have to worry about it. You can just break into stores there in California. Philip, were you going to say something?
Yeah, just the balls she must have to go I would, if I had just lost a presidential election like that and just seen one, she couldn't get the nomination for the previous election because she got like 3% of the Democratic vote, so she's not popular. I would not risk the absolute embarrassment of the possibility of losing a governorship in California. At that point, I would go just live on a farm somewhere and be quiet. Not telling her to be quiet.
But she can command, right? She can command a large speaking fee anywhere she goes at a lot of these Democratic or war funding. Anything that Rachel Maddow does, she can do too, basically. And they make a lot of money. She doesn't have to do that, in my opinion. But it seems like she may be impervious to embarrassment if her campaign was any indication.
Well, reports today are swirling that some of Kamala's team thinks that she's got what it takes to run for president once again. After all, she did raise over $1 billion. $1 billion, in that 100-day window.
But that fundraising was based on Trump derangement syndrome, where people were just motivated to keep Donald Trump from winning the office. I don't think it was based on her platforms because we didn't know what they were. I don't think it was based on her personality because it was just a nonsensical cackle. So how can you do that in California without a Donald Trump to run against?
She'd have to run against probably J.D. Vance, right? Good luck with that. That would be fascinating to watch.
For president. J.D. Vance is not going to run for the governor of California.
Well, no, I'm sorry, for the presidency. Yeah, but if she's going to, that's what my point is, that her team thinks that she should run for president because after all, she ran and made $1 billion and they think that she should do it again. They say they managed to polish up her reputation along the way. Remember how in the trash her reputation was in the beginning of the spring of this past year? You had liberals all over television talking about Kamala Harris's reputation, that she's a huge drag on the ticket. Maybe they should get rid of Kamala Harris. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly there was this revitalization of her personality and reputation.
She was recast as brilliant and charismatic. Yes. Right.
So as delusional as that sounds, that's what her inner circle believes. They see 2028 as her shot at redemption, but not everyone's convinced. Others worry about having this drawn out campaign against some heavy hitting Democrats who've been waiting in the wings. I say that Jared Polis of Colorado, the Democratic governor of Colorado, will run for president. Mark my words that he will run, and she will lose to him. Okay, what he's been able to do in the state of Colorado, in an area where it was a heavily red state for a long time, is now a heavily blue state. On election night, it immediately, as soon as they had those polls closed, it immediately went for Kamala Harris as a blue state. So that's Jared Polis. That's Jared Polis and his team, and I think that she'd have to go up against him in 2028. Good luck with that. So I don't know, and it could fizzle out, especially after if she has to go up against J.D. Vance. Good luck with that. So California's governor race seems like a slam dunk, in my opinion. She's a familiar face in the state. She's been elected statewide there 3 times, served as attorney general, then a senator, state of California. Plus, according to CNN, a lot of big name contenders for the job in California, if she were to run, would just step aside. They're like, okay, you got this. We're just not even going to try to run against you in California. But here's the big problem. As I was going through the math on this, right, she can't do both of these things. If she's the governor, if she goes for the governor's spot, she'd have to announce by this summer of 2025, okay? And then just a few months after, that's after President Trump takes office in the spring, in January. If she wins, then she'd be stuck juggling both the demands of being a new governor and at the same time then trying to launch a presidential campaign simultaneously. Would Californians be okay with that? Like, hey, we just got a new governor, and she's already looking to leave the job, and she's campaigning fully across the United States to be president of the United States. So why did we just elect her as our governor? Like, she's going to have to pick one or the other here. There's no way you can do both of these things. I don't know. Probably not. She's not going to be able to do it. But anyway.
But I think the rest of the country is like, have her, California. If you're going to do that to yourself, then you've done that to yourself. And we can't, so... Yeah, we'll see. If they would do
there's a lot of Californians watching right now. They're like, no, please, no.
My father would just, oh my God, he'd had an aneurysm.
He would. Oh no.
He's a California Republican, one of the few. Okay, well, ABC News settled its case with President-elect Trump, and they will pay $15 million to the Trump Presidential Library. This was the case where President Trump had sued them because George Stephanopoulos had repeatedly said that when he interviewed Nancy Mace, that President Trump had been found liable for rape, which was incorrect. He was found liable for sexual abuse and defamation in the E. Jean Carroll case. And recall that the state of New York had to change the law so that E. Jean Carroll could bring that case because the statute of limitations had long since been passed. ABC News released a statement about this saying, quote, "We are pleased that the parties have reached an agreement to dismiss the lawsuit on the terms in the court filing." Now, it's no wonder then that ABC is treading extra carefully while they've been litigating and trying really hard to say true things, even when they don't want to. Now, recall that The View is hosted on ABC. It's an ABC show. That's why they have repeatedly had to be reading legal notes when they try to take underhanded hits at Trump nominees, such as this one, where Sonny Hostin had to say this about Pete Hegseth.
I have a very quick statement.
Yes, it's not going to be that quick.
Pete Hegseth has denied any wrongdoing. His lawyer said he paid the woman in 2023 to head off the threat of a baseless lawsuit. No charges were ever brought.
You rushed me for that?
It's really hamstringing their ability to hit at them when they have to then
legal notes,
tell the truth. Here's another one that they had to, this was one of the first that they had to do about Matt Gaetz.
I have a legal note.
You want to take this one, Joy, or are you
Matt
good?
Gaetz has long denied all allegations and has not been charged with any crime.
That's true.
Also, another legal note. Pete Hegseth's lawyer said he paid the woman in 2023 to head off the threat of a baseless lawsuit. He has denied any wrongdoing.
That's interesting. Pay off the witness.
She's like, be quiet now. Be quiet now.
You're going to ruin our legal note.
Yeah. Okay. So they're pissed that they have to do this and they can't just impugn people's characters without consequences. As part of this settlement, ABC had to publish this on the original Nancy Mace interview, saying ABC News and George Stephanopoulos regret statements regarding President Donald J. Trump made during this interview on March 10th. So I bet they regret it to the tune of $15 million. But President-elect Trump, I think, is maybe a little bit high on this win because now he's threatening lawsuits against the Des Moines Register over its final election poll showing Trump that was losing several points to Kamala Harris in the run-up in the weekend before the election. He's also said that he may sue CBS for editing the Kamala Harris interview, even though that really didn't have anything to do with that. I think the FEC should take a look at that. Other regulatory bodies. I'm not thrilled with the idea of Donald Trump just punishing people that he doesn't like because we need a free press. We need free speech, right? And so it would be interesting. Did this woman at the Des Moines Register do fake science? Did she manipulate the numbers? Is it her right to do that, right? So I do want to see the press have a higher commitment to truth, but does this fall into the category of protected speech? Are you allowed to just get it wrong, right? Maybe her math models were wrong. You see what I'm saying? This is a slippery slope. Like, we definitely want the media to do better, but they need to be free to do better. Well, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, as Lil Jun fan in our chat says, defamation is a thing. It is a thing, but it's a very high bar for a person, a public person.
A public figure.
A public figure, right? A private person has a much easier time suing for defamation, but a public figure, you would have to, I think you have to improve intent with malicious intent. Like you have to knowingly print that you knew that this was false information, and then you printed it on purpose to maliciously hurt that person.
Right.
It's a very high bar to prove.
Yeah. I'm just, how you could serve discovery on the Des Moines Register and say, what were your numbers? Did you do something that you don't normally do because you didn't like the outcome of this? And then you were affecting the outcome. That one's tricky. We would need a constitutional lawyer to look at that in order to see if that was right or wrong. So he can say that and maybe rough them up a little. It's his free speech to scare them, I suppose. But, we definitely don't want restrictions on the press. So yeah, this one's tricky. Let me know what you think. Redacted is brought to you by The Wellness Company. They're a longtime sponsor of independent media. And The Wellness Company is a great way to make sure that you are set up in your house for any kind of medications that may be blocked by whatever powers that are. You know what I'm talking about. And of course, with the holidays here, it means sick season, sinus infections, strep throat, ear infections, you name it. But you don't have to deal with it all alone this year, because this little blue case is your mobile urgent care. It has ivermectin, Z-Pak, amoxicillin, plus guides to using them safely so that you don't have to go through the hurdles of getting any medication that your family may need, maybe when hospitals or clinics are closed over the holiday. You just cut through the red tape by allowing you to take control of your health. You don't need a gatekeeper, because their medical board created a guidebook that helps with, the common things. You call the doctor, you've got strep throat, you've got an ear infection. So if that happens to you, you can be prepared. You can use the code redacted and go to twc.health/redacted and get $30 off plus free shipping. Again, use the code redacted. Head on over to TWC for the Wellness Center, the Wellness Company, twc.health/redacted. Man, I messed that up. twc.health/redacted.
Wow. Nailed it.
Wow.
Stuck the landing. All right. Here's something I love. I've long said that if I ever ran for president, and I was saying this jokingly, of course, but there'd be one platform I would have run on, and it's to end daylight saving time. I hate it. It's anachronistic. We don't need it. It's lost its purpose since the 1918 when it first rolled out. Well, Donald Trump is now saying that he is ready to end daylight saving time. Yes, he announced plans on Friday to permanently end daylight saving time, says that he and his party will work to eliminate what he calls the, quote, inconvenient and very costly system. He says the Republican Party will use its best efforts to eliminate daylight saving time. And I love that he says daylight saving. There's no S on savings. It's daylight saving time.
Yes.
Which has a small but strong constituency, but it shouldn't, he said. Daylight saving time is inconvenient and very costly to our nation. And so Republicans have tried this over and over again to get rid of this thing, but the Biden administration kept it in place. In fact, it passed fueling the passage of the 2022 Senate bill. It would have made daylight saving time permanent under Biden, but Republicans managed to stop that. Daylight saving began in 1918 during World War I. We don't need it anymore. There's no purpose for it at all. End it. It's miserable because then it always screws up our kids' schedule. They're either up early,
And actually, there's copious statistics about increased fatalities in traffic accidents around
heart attacks.
Things like that. So sure, let's do that.
Daylight saving time kills, and we should end it.